Well, hello everyone, happy holidays, and welcome back to the channel for a new tutorial video. Today we will be going over how to use Sorcerer Supreme in Realm of Champions for mobile devices, both Android and iOS. This is a brand new game that launched just a few weeks ago, and there's a lot of confusion going around about a lot of elements about this game, so I figured that this will be a good opportunity for me to teach you a little bit what I've learned about these characters. Now, starting off with Sorcerer Supreme, or the Sorcerer Supreme type character, there are quite a few things that you need to know about this one in order to play them effectively. First and foremost, you need to be aware that the Sorcerer Supreme type is a support character. Now that means that they have some damage dealing capabilities, but overall their purpose is to extend the lifespan of your team to help bolster your chances of victory. And there are a couple of things that they have in their kit to really help out with that, which we'll be looking at here. The first thing that we need to talk about, though, is the fact that every single character in the cast has a dash that you can activate by swiping on the right-hand side of the screen. Whichever direction you input that swipe will determine where you run away from certain attacks or opponents. So you do have one of those. It's on a cooldown. I think it's of about 5 seconds or so. It could be closer to 10. But that will get you out of danger if you are in just getting wailed on by a couple of your opponents. The other thing, and this is where the two different weapon variations that Sorcerer Supreme has access to start to differ, is their heavy attack, which you do by charging or pressing and holding on the right hand side of the screen. That will charge up the heavy attack and unleash it in towards your opponents. Now, if you are using the book, which is the Book of Vishanti, then you will release a standard heavy attack projectile. There's nothing else special about it, though there is a difference with the orb that we'll talk about in just a moment. With both weapons equipped, the first special attack is the exact same, and that is the Divine Conduit. The Divine Conduit, as you can see, or you have been seeing here, it activates an area of healing that can be applied to your teammates in the displayed area. And that will definitely help in terms of keeping your team on their feet for an extended period of time. And that is the main item that makes Sorcerer Supreme a support character. So you want to try and use this when your teammates are getting low on health. You can use it yourself to kind of heal yourself up, as it is something that applies to your own character as well. But the best use for the Divine Conduit will be when you see that some of your teammates are getting low. If you try using this on your own to try and heal yourself up, don't be surprised if some of your opponents try to swarm you and break you down, because it can be overwhelmed. It is not a guarantee during the duration of the ability. The second ability, which is exclusive to the Book of Vishanti, is the Light of Nirvalan. And this is an attack that, and this ability will summon an area that will deal some mystic damage, but primarily inflict weakness to the opponents in the target area. And that simply means that they will not be able to hit you as hard as they otherwise would. This has a relatively short duration, but it can be nice as a little preservation item for both yourself and the rest of your team. This one is an attack that I like to lead in with right off the start of the fight, especially because it is ready for activation as soon as you get into the combat arena. And it will detonate based off of wherever you put it, even if there are no characters in that area. So make sure you place it wisely when you are attempting to use this ability. The third ability that you have access to with the Book of Vishanti is the Shield of the Seraphim. And this is a defensive ability that will conjure a magic shield that will protect both herself and her allies that are within the radius of the ability activation. And this acts similar to a couple of other abilities on the cast, where you see that there are some white particles that pop up on the character's health bar, and that is a shield that will have to be depleted before actual damage is inflicted to the characters under attack. This can be comboed with the Divine Conduit as well, but you cannot activate the Divine Conduit once you have the Shield of the Seraphim active. So something that would really help with this is activate your Divine Conduit and then activate the Shield of the Seraphim. But do be advised, while you are using the Shield of the Seraphim, you are incapable of using any other attacks. So you'll be locked into this protective spell until it has concluded fully. We now need to talk about the orb, specifically the Orb of Scarlet Hex, which is included within the game. And when you have the orb applied to your character, there are a couple of very important differences and distinguishments that are made to how the character works. First off, the heavy attack undergoes a slight adjustment to deal and release a projectile that bounces near enemies and not only deals damage but also inflicts armor break, which will increase the attack damage that they receive upon this attack landing on them. So this already has an additional use compared to that of the heavy attack from the Book of Vishanti. And this one specifically has the name of the Sundering Sphere. So do use this attack a little bit more tactfully, as if there are weak enemies on the other team or enemies that are a little bit more prone to diving in on the rest of your team, you can take advantage of unleashing the Sundering Sphere on them to increase the amount of damage that they are receiving. The first ability is the same. The Divine Conduit does not change and does not change in its behavior. But the second ability, the Kakarin's Curse, this is where Sorcerer Supreme becomes a little bit more on the offensive than she does with the Book of Vishanti. And this will curse all enemies in a small area, and it is a smaller radius than that which would be applied by the Light of Nirvalan. But the trade-off to that is this curse will deal damage over time to any characters that are found within the sphere of the ability activation. That being said, this one cannot be activated in the same way as the Light of Nirvalan, as you do have to hone in on a specific target in order to activate this ability. It will not activate otherwise, which, all things considered, is a little bit better than just being able to unleash wherever you may. And the third ability that Sorcerer Supreme has with this orb equipped is the Crimson Bands of Sidorak as her third special ability. This will allow Sorcerer Supreme to channel binding bands around the enemy. It deals some damage and inflicts stun for the duration, meaning that the character is incapable of moving outside of these bands. And it leaves the character wide open to attack from your other teammates. So if you can chain combo this with a couple of other abilities from the rest of your team, you can knock out characters incredibly fast, as they have no way to defend themselves. Do be advised that if characters have an unstoppable trait, they will not be able to be bound by the Crimson Bands of Sidorak, but that kind of makes sense, and it really only applies to the Hulk characters that you're playing against. So just make sure that they do not have their Unstoppable active before you unleash the Crimson Bands of Sidorak upon them. Now between these two weapons that can be equipped to the Sorcerer Supreme, if you're going for overall damage output, the Orb and the Orb of Scarlet Hex is by far the better option. But if you don't have access to it, Sorcerer Supreme is still a very useful character in terms of the damage that she's able to apply, but more specifically, the ability that she has to support your team and keep them alive for longer in the middle of a fight. As a matter of fact, when you're trying to take on some of the onslaught objectives, it may very well be best if you can try and coordinate having a high-level Sorcerer Supreme on your team, as it will increase your odds of making it further through that onslaught and claiming the rewards in order to unlock the Super Soldier, which is an event that will be active for the next couple of weeks. But what do you think of Sorcerer Supreme? Do you enjoy playing this character? Do you not really like it? It's okay if you don't. Support characters are not for everyone. This personally is one of my favorite characters to play, and I currently have mine at rank 2 level 20. So thanks again for watching, and I hope that you found this helpful and or enjoyable. If you did, be sure to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily content. Until then, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.